Hi there, students. Bearing. Well, I suppose this could be the present participle of the verb to bear, but I want to look at bearing as a noun because it has various different meanings. Firstly, bearing, an uncountable noun, talking about somebody's way of moving, somebody's way of behaving, their poise, their attitude. He had a very distinguished bearing. His bearing, his attitude, his manner, his appearance. Okay. He notice if somebody is overbearing, they're trying to push you around with their manner, with their conduct, with their attitude, without actually physically doing it. So somebody's bearing, the way they move, the way they stand, the way they react, the way they appear. Okay. A bearing could also be a little metal ball. That you use in engineering. A ball bearing. It's part of a machine that makes things turn. So you have a wheel bearing or a roller bearing. In a wheel of a bicycle, you've got all these little balls, which is the bearing to make it go round. You could take a bearing, talking with a compass, to get your bearing, to find your exact position. We need to travel at a bearing of 322 degrees. Or you have this phrase, to get your bearings. When you're lost, let me get my bearings. We need to go this way. Or to get your bearings, to become familiar with a new situation. So during the journey, I had to stop to get my bearings. It takes a while to get your bearings when you start a new job. If you lose your bearing or lose your bearings, you don't know where you are. So in the fog, they lost their bearing. The position of something in degrees, on a bearing of 0.45 degrees, an angle, a direction. Something could have a bearing on something. This has a bearing on it. It bears on it. It has an influence on it. It relates to it. This will have considerable bearing on how you are treated in the future. And then, going back to where I started, he had a very proud, distinguished bearing, way of being, posture, demeanour, manner. So a person's demeanour, but including the posture and the gestures. So he has a very king-like bearing. His bearing, the manner in which he conducts himself. He has a lot of poise and bearing. He has all the poise and bearing of a champion. A bearing, something that supports the weight and reduces the friction of movement. A ball bearing, a little round piece of metal. And then your bearing. To lose your bearings, to lose your direction. This issue has no bearing, no relevance, no interconnection to what I'm talking about. It has no bearing on this problem. So he has a very dignified bearing. The manner in which he carries himself, is very dignified. You could take a bearing with a compass to find the direction. The ship was on a bearing of 142 degrees. Bearings are little metal balls that are placed between the moving parts of a machine in order to get them to move smoothly. You need to oil the bearings, the ball bearings. If this has bearing on a situation, it has an effect on it. This has absolutely no bearing on what I'm talking about. Okay, so formality. Well, his bearing, his attitude. 6.5, semi-formal conversation, semi-formal or formal writing. A ball bearing, 5, informality, use anywhere. Get your bearings, 5, informality. We need to travel on a bearing of 128 degrees, 6, informality. This has no relevance, no bearing on the issue. 5, informality. Okay, and then as to origin, okay, this comes from Proto-Germanic berandas, from Proto-Germanic berana, to bear, to carry. So yeah, it's all related to this bear. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Bearing.